What's up, everybody? So in this one, I wanted to touch on scheduling, but as I was doing this video, some major news, and I do believe this is some major news because we have a new player. NBC and Peacock struck a deal with BOXXER, and I think it's phenomenal. I think it's phenomenal that we have BOXXER. They're in the US now. Before, you can say, well, they've always been in the US because they were on Fight TV and all that stuff, but you had to pay pay-per-view. It's pretty much a pay-per-view price for those events, even if it's like $4.99 or $7.99, whatever the cost on Fight TV would be. It's so much better now. They're going to be part of Peacock. So if you have Peacock, that's obviously NBC's streaming service, you'll be able to catch the BOXXER events. I like and I'm concerned about it because we haven't seen the promotion from the likes of ESPN with boxing. They push UFC harder than they do boxing. So I'm hoping that NBC does some shoulder programming, gets involved, really involved in boxing, and isn't just broadcasting the event over here and we don't get anything other than that. Now, if you don't know about Peacock, as of June 2023, Peacock had 24 million paying subs. But that doesn't mean you will get that many eyeballs on your product. So let's keep that in mind because those subs did not sign up for boxing. But there will be some carryover because, like me, I'm one of those subs and they're interested in sports. There's gonna be some carryover for people that are just interested in sports and interested in boxing. But what does that mean from a scheduling perspective? Because that's what I really want to touch on in this video. It's great that BOXXER has that deal with NBC. They're going to be entrenched in the US market. We got another broadcaster over here in America that's going to be involved with boxing, especially with the Showtime news that we've received recently. So I think this is positive news for boxing. We need multiple entities involved in boxing. But the Boxing Scene article that mentioned BOXXER going to Peacock also mentioned that they eventually plan to start staging fights in the US. I think that is huge news because we all know that BOXXER was poaching those matchroom fighters. So are they going to look to poach those matchroom fighters that are here in the US as well? Or are they actually going to look for other talent? And I really hope they just look for other talent because here in the US, there is so much talent that just needs a platform to shine. There are so many fighters, and with BOXXER, they are invested in the women. So if they could actually sign some of these women that are over here just looking for a spot, you know, like the Tiara Browns of the world. Tiara Brown's been trying to get on a Matchroom show or anybody's show. Top Rank ain't signing women like that. Even though Bob Arum might talk a big game, he's not signing women like that. We all know PBC, Gabriela Fundora, she was fighting on her brother's cards, but it wasn't televised. So I'm hoping BOXXER, that's going to be another entity that's here in the States that will actually showcase the women. And I think that's great because then we'll have DAZN, we'll have BOXXER, and hopefully ESPN sticks with Top Rank. And we don't know what's going on with PBC, Amazon Prime, Showtime, whatever that's going to be. There's a lot to look forward to with this news. And I'm hoping that BOXXER shines. And I'm hoping that people will actually pick up Peacock, especially boxing fans, because you got to have it. I'm trying to support boxing as much as I can. So I'm definitely going to be watching it. And it starts, by the way, in case you didn't know, it starts with the BOXXER versus Aziz fight this weekend. So now you have competing fights. You have BOXXER versus Aziz that's going to be on Peacock. And at the same time, you're going to have Catterall Linares that's going to be on DAZN. So you better have multiple TVs going. I know I will. But mainly what this is about was about schedules. So for your boxing schedule, the end of the year, we're in Q4 now. We're 15 days into Q4. And I wanted to take a look at the schedules that we have. Now, some of you might think it's kind of unfair to look at this point in the year, you know, when you're talking about scheduling, but it kind of feeds into what I want to address. So what do you value as a fan when it comes to scheduling? Is it the frequency of the shows where you see your fighter grow? Is it the pay-per-view of only the big shows like we've seen with PBC? Is it just availability and accessibility of shows, you know, both at home and abroad, which now BOXXER's included in that as well as Matchroom. So I'm curious, what is it? What is it that floats your boat when it comes to your fandom and scheduling? Do you only want big fights? But if it's big fights, you know it's pay-per-view. Or do you want to see it all? I'm one of those that wants to see it all. I want to see that prospect that was in the preliminaries that made his way to the main show, or that woman that made her way to the main show and then up to the main event. I want to see that progression. Do you value that as a fan? Do you want to see that as a fan? Or do you want to just see a fighter that, he shocks or gives a tougher fighter a hard time like an Isaac Cruz? Because most people really didn't pay attention to Isaac Cruz until he fought Gervonta Davis. And then once he gave Gervonta Davis a tough fight, all of a sudden people wanted to see Isaac Cruz. Would you rather see that? Next thing you know, Isaac Cruz, he wants to be like main event or co-main after the Gervonta Davis fight. I'm not necessarily a fan of that. I want to see the progress. I like to see that. If that happens, great. I'm not opposed to it. Look at Mauricio Lara. Mauricio Lara, he was not known, came over, knocked out Josh Warrington. Next thing you know, he got big time paychecks when it came to Lee Wood twice, as well as Josh Warrington again in the rematch. So I'm not mad at that, like what happened with Isak Cruz, but I'm saying what I like to see as a fan. But let's get into the schedules. So when you look at the schedules, Matchroom's schedule is unrivaled. I know you hear Hearn say that mess all the time, but it's just facts. For what I like as a fan, this is where it's at. Because it not only does it have fighters that are on the rise, like a Pat McCormack, but it also has the Haney Prograis, even though I wish that wasn't on pay-per-view, especially for what I pay for an annual sub for DAZN. I wish that wasn't on pay-per-view, but I get it. I still wish it wasn't. Haney Prograis, and then the following week, we get Bam Rodriguez and Sonny Edwards. That's sick. And then after that, who knows what we're going to get? But we also got Katie Taylor and Chantel Cameron too. I just feel like this schedule has big fights up and down, fights that I'm interested in, young fighters I'm interested in, fighters in the middle of the road that are trying to ascend. It has everything that I want in a schedule. But when I look at ESPN, it's lacking. When I look at BOXXER schedule, it's lacking. When I look at TNT Sports schedule, it's lacking. I need more dates. Get your fighters out there. Maybe you don't have the inventory, let's say, that a Matchroom has, but I want to see these fighters. I want to see these fighters active. I want to see them out there more often. So I don't know if it's, you got to get more dates. You got to get more support from whoever's backing you, whatever network is backing you. But I am curious overall. We know can anybody say Matchroom doesn't have the best schedule, especially in this year? Nobody can say that with a straight face because it's just untrue. What are you most a fan of? That's what I want to know. Let me know in the comments. What are you most a fan of? Do you just want the big fights, pay-per-view? You don't care, you just pay pay-per-view. Are you okay just playing your DAZN sub and getting some pretty good fights, but then having to pay a pay-per-view for like a Haney Prograis? Do you like the frequency of the shows? Would you like more packed shows instead of frequency of the shows? You know what I'm saying? Like maybe combine Pat McCormack's main event and put him on the Catterall Linares show. You know, that's just using that as an example. So I'm curious what your thoughts are, but overall, happy that the BOXXER deal with NBC happened and Peacock. Fired up for that. Happy that we got a good closing schedule to end the year that Matchroom's providing. We're going to see Ryan Garcia back December 2nd as well, because don't forget about Golden Boy out there. Alexis Rocha is going to be fighting this weekend. So it's a lot that's happening, y'all. I'm loving the DAZN schedule. And we'll just see how this transitions into the new year. But I'd love to hear from y'all. Thanks for stopping by the channel. Thanks for showing me love. I appreciate it all the time because there's tons of channels out there. I know you visit them, but I appreciate you visiting me as well. So I'll catch y'all on the next one. Until next time, peace.